Well. Happy Saturday, everybody. It's your boy GUNHILLBAIN in the building. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday. It is Saturday, March the 20th, 2021. First day of spring. Yeah, spring is definitely up in the air. I know in my little hometown of Trap City, the sky was beautiful. You know, the sky was warm. Everyone was out and about having a great time. So, you know what? Decided to get myself some food, get myself ready. And then what did I see on my notifications today? Finally, Jim Cornette reviews the Lights Out match, the main event for AEW Dynamite on St. Patrick's Day Slam. Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker DMD. Once again, a lights out match where everyone was talking about it on Twitter, on Facebook. It is the best women's match in AEW history. These two women have went through hell. Anything you can think of. Ladders, kendo sticks, tables, thumbtacks. Who haven't seen the iconic blood on the face of Britt Baker? You know, while she was smiling for the camera. It was one of the best, and I enjoyed it, and I know a lot of people were enjoying it. But I know a lot of people in the back of their head, they were wondering, what was Jim Cornette going to say? He's a man who's not really fond of women's wrestling, much less garbage wrestling, as he like to call it. So it was going to be very interesting to see what does he have to say about this main event, especially since this is a historic moment for AEW. This is the first time a women's match is the main event of Dynamite, the last match of the night. So this is a big deal for everyone involved. And I just want to say thank you to both Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa for doing all you can, for entertaining us, the fans, for bringing wrestling to the masses. You guys rock, and this is a huge stepping stone altogether. Yeah. So, without further ado, if you're a first-timer here, and I know you're going to be a first-time because it's like my first time doing this, I do what we call a reaction to a review. Jim Cornette is going to say what he has to say, and I react upon it, and then I give my analysis to the people out there. But I'm going to do it with a twist. You see, I like to get drunk. Yes, I do love to get drunk. So for every video that I post here on YouTube, when I do these reaction videos, I am going to introduce a specific cocktail that I have created to the masses. And whether or not you take that recipe or not, that is out on you. But this is exactly what I'm drinking tonight. And what am I drinking tonight, folks? I think I'll just have to call this, I don't know, Britt Baker's Bloody Mary, blood on face, blade job, I don't know, color, whatever you want to call it. So, how do I do that? Oh, see, here's another thing. I use Jameson. Oh boy, I guess you can't see with the green light, but yeah, Jameson right there. Very nice. And some vermouth. Some Molly Platt vermouth right here. So, and I'm going to take a nice shot before I get this started. And the reason why it's red, I didn't have any ice. So I kind of mixed it with some frozen raspberries and mango for a nice little drink. So now, here's the best part. Before I get everything started, I like to take a shot. All right. I would like to take a shot. I'll put this aside for a second. Set this down. Yeah, we're going to have some fun tonight. We're definitely going to have some fun tonight. You want to be truthful in life? Take a few shots, right? And this one is from the Library of Congress. You can't see with my hand. So, sláinte. Ah! Woo! Woo! That's a tough one, folks. Woo! That was strong. All right. So, just a few short tidbits I want to move out the way. If you like what you see, like or subscribe. I prefer like, And the views being expressed from here on in are the views expressed by Jim Cornette and Brian Lass. I do not own this YouTube. They are the property of Jim Cornette and Brian Lass. So if you want to see this and other clips from Jim Cornette and Brian Lass, just type in Jim Cornette on YouTube and then you'll be able to find it there. And this is from the Jim Cornette Experience episode 373. With that out the way, the views expressed by me are by me, for me, and to all of you. Just letting you know right now. All right? So, without further ado, I'm just going to press play. And we're going to watch this along together. And here we go.
Let's talk about the main event.
Yes.
Lights out match. Falls count anywhere. No disqualification. Anything goes. Lazy booking.
Yeah, okay.
When I heard that the women's match was going to take center stage and be the main event, I knew already before you called me that I should watch it. So I never intended to invoke the tooth and nail rule on this match. Because it is a women's main event, and it was an historic moment for AEW, so I wanted to watch it. And boy, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I never dreamed, and I don't know why I didn't see this coming all the way down the road. I never dreamed that they would make the women's match falls count anywhere, no DQ, anything goes, lazy booking garbage. But I was wrong. Let me say this at the outset. Both girls did a phenomenal job doing what they did.
Thank you.
They took it seriously. They did their best. They worked hard. They bled. They took outrageous bumps. Wonderful job. Let me also say this at the outset. This was a crime against nature and should never have been allowed to fucking happen.
Oh, please.
That anybody would allow these two girls to go out and do that shit if they wanted to, much less book them to do it, is ridiculous.
All right, I'm going to just stop this right here. No, I don't think it's ridiculous at all. As a matter of fact, I applaud these two ladies for actually putting their bodies and their souls on the line for our entertainment. Whether or not they were booked into doing so or not, you know what? That's your interpretation and that's your opinion. You want to know what my opinion is? My opinion? I feel that they didn't have a gun pointed to their heads when they were told, okay, you two ladies are going to have an all-out brawl and you're going to get bloody for people's entertainment. No. In my mind, and you could tell from all the interviews that's come out there, they wanted to do this. They wanted to do this, and they felt good doing it, and they felt proud doing it. So, for Jim Cornette to just say, oh, women shouldn't be allowed to be in this type of fighting, no. No, sir. I respectfully decline your opinion, sir, because I say that they are entitled to do whatever the hell they want to do if it feels that this is exactly what they want to do. They made their choice, and they're going to be able to do it. Anyway. Continue.
And it proved a point.
No, I didn't.
There is no sexism in wrestling because male or female, garbage wrestling is garbage wrestling regardless of who's doing it. It's still the shits. It's still stupid. It's still bad for the business.
Nope.
It's still egregiously low-class sideshow circus bullshit.
Nope. Not at all. We loved it.
Before we talk about the actual match, before anybody says, "Oh, Cornette hates the women, doesn't want the women to main event," what was my favorite match on WrestleMania last year?
Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he has a fetish for Rhea Ripley, but whatever. He keeps on talking about Rhea Ripley, Rhea Ripley, Rhea Ripley. We get it. You love the Aussie.
Far the best match, the best thing on WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest company's biggest show. Why? Because especially because that was one of the first empty arena shows right after the pandemic had hit. And instead of, as we found out, as anybody who's tried to do it already knows, angle fights and backstage bullshit of fights in empty arenas are death. And most grudge match, brawl type of matches in a completely empty arena are death. But those girls worked a contest. They worked an athletic competition with the sounds, and you could hear them hitting, and you could hear them grunting and squealing and screaming. But it wasn't stupid. It wasn't silly. Here's the difference. The difference is they talk about wanting a women's movement and wanting to respect them equally to the men. Well, if you watch Charlotte against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, you could respect them as athletes, even if you knew wrestling was a work. They looked like stars, and they were on a big budget program, and it was professional, and you could respect it, even if you weren't a wrestling fan. If you were a potential sponsor for a program, business that might want to sponsor a big TV show like that, you could look at that and say, well, I don't like wrestling, but God, those girls are athletes, they're attractive, and they're professional.
Okay, all right. So, people who watched last year's WrestleMania and saw that match between Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, let me know in the comments what you guys really think, right? Was that the greatest, women's match you ever seen? I mean, there were a lot of women's matches in the past that, kind of was right up there with it, And I'm not saying they didn't do a phenomenal job. I mean, they put on a clinic. It was great, but the way that Jim Cornette was just talking about this, it's like he made it sound like this is the second coming of women's wrestling. It really isn't. It was a good match, but we've seen a lot better. Now, that could be me, right? Maybe I'm just being biased on this, or maybe I don't care. But this is why I have you guys to tell me what you guys think of the match. Now, is it better? Did Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, did they put on a match that is similar to Charlotte Flair, who we all know who she is, and Rhea Ripley, who we all know she is? So, I don't know, but it's obvious that Jim Cornette, that's a huge love fest for Rhea Ripley. So, continue.
Look at this budget. If a young girl, because now so many of these young girls are supposed to be looking up to their role models, right?
Oh, boy,
and wanting to get in the business. So if a young girl wanted to be a wrestler and their parents, male or female, either one, were sitting in the room and watching Charlotte and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, same thing. Well, yeah, it's showbiz and it's fake, but gosh, they're athletes and they're making a lot of money, obviously, and look how costumed they are and the spectacle and the pageantry of this show.
What spectacle?
Well, our little Kathy probably will never...
I'm sorry, what spectacle was that? They were in a performance center. They're basically in the box. Now, whatever spectacle you was talking about, Jim Cornette, was not the case with WrestleMania last year. They were in a box. In a box. All right? There was no big pyro. There was no pizzazz. There was nothing. Big budget. You could say whatever the hell you want. They were in a box. And you could call it WrestleMania for what it is. But to me, that was not WrestleMania. It was just WrestleMania, the pay-per-view. But it wasn't WrestleMania, the spectacle. And listen, I'm not shooting them down. for them to actually let the show go on in the middle of a pandemic, bravo to them. But let's not kid ourselves, Mr. Cornette. That was not a spectacle. That was just a regular programming that you would have saw on a Raw or a SmackDown. The only difference is the set have changed and it was on the WWE network. But they were in a box. A box. Anyway.
Never be an athlete like that, but we could encourage her to do something like that. That wouldn't be the worst thing our daughter could do. You would want to sponsor it. You wouldn't freak out if your daughter said, I'd like to do that. If you look at that and you say, this is a positive image of professional wrestling, whether it's a work or not. This, you think anybody wants to sponsor a show where there's a bunch of indie garbage, bad outlaw wrestling going on with bloody women rolling around in fucking thumbtacks? You think any parents would want their daughters to do that? You think that the guys sitting back in the locker room, if they had half a lick of sense, they were back there applauding them, they should be going, what the fuck? And they'd be going and slapping Tony Khan around the face and say, if you ever let the fucking girls do shit like this again, we'll all walk out. Because what have they got to do now? If a 120-pound girl could take a Death Valley driver off the top rope onto a fucking ladder and get covered and kick out after a 2 count, you need to take a goddamn battleship and flatten a fucking 275-pound man. It's...
you know what? Let me take a shot at this here. Let me go back on this. You really think that they really care? Listen, we're in a world right now where the women could do whatever they can, just like the men do, right? So what you're saying, Jim, is that women are not allowed to unleash violence upon each other. What does that say to the women in the UFC, Jim? Are you trying to say that the women are not allowed to punch each other in the face until they're bloody as hell? Right? Are you saying in the world of the UFC that the men have to bring in a friggin' battleship in order to kill somebody for the win? It's professional wrestling. Women can just do as much brutality as they want as the men do. No one has to feel that you gotta one-up it. You do have to outwork it, though. I mean, you tell me, folks. Should women be allowed to go to war with each other to the point that they are bloody in the face? Or should they just have a regular old technical wrestling match as Jim Cornette wanted because it will inspire little girls in order to be what they want to be? If I am Ion's opinion, if I had a daughter and she said, I want to roll around and just get bloody and what the hell it is, yes, I'll be concerned for her safety. Just like I'll be concerned if my son, if I had a son, wants to play football or join the military or whatever the case may be. Right? But I'm not going to stop them. If they want to do what they want to do, all I can do is support them in whatever else they are trying to do. As long as it's legal, as long as it's clean, and as long as it shows the dignity of themselves and of the family. Oh, God. I wish, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker are hearing this right now with Jim. And I would love to know their reactions for what he is saying. But, like I said, you guys in the comments, you let me know what you think. Continue.
It's making their job harder. It immunes the fans when they... Because let's face it, I'm sorry, but this may be sexist, but it is also the stone cold fact. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker will never headline a goddamn pay-per-view event that draws a legitimate amount of money. But guys in a grudge match, been heavily built up to, might. And they might want to use some of those goddamn bumps or moves.
I want to stop for this 1 minute. Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, or any aspiring female pro wrestler out there. Jim Cornette just basically told you all that you, as a female, cannot draw over 1 million buys, cannot draw over 70,000 people with the style of wrestling you want to possess out there. Make him eat his words. AEW, once we have fans allowed in the arenas, you know what I want to see? I want to see a pay-per-view event live from Jacksonville, Florida, in the Jaguar Stadium with 90,000 people, whatever you can put up. Co-main event, main event, whatever you want, involving your top women of AEW. And I would have loved it to hear the crowd just say, fuck Cornette. F Cornette. You know? Just so they could just stick it to them. It's words like this where dreams become reality. Right? And I encourage anyone, regardless of what this man thinks, if you have a dream and you want accomplishment, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit drunk right now. I may be spurring my words, but if someone tells you can't do anything, prove them wrong. And make sure you stick it straight to their faces when you're doing it. Anyway, continue.
I was not upset about the women getting juice and bleeding in a vacuum. I was not upset about that concept, but the way that it was done, let's talk about the way it was done, and then let's talk about the way they could have done it.
Okay.
They have this match, falls count anywhere, no DQ, anything goes, lights out, lazy booking.
Whatever.
They can't just let these girls have a match. Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb, the best two fucking women they've got on their roster, that have had excellent matches every time they go out, despite what opponents they might be given. I know Serena's injured now, but Thunder Rosa is phenomenal as an athlete. She could have led Britt Baker to the best match that Britt Baker's ever had, because she has come along as a worker and she's a good athlete. And they could have done something that might make women's wrestling look positive. But instead, they do the same shit the guys do that make wrestling look negative. Before the bell, Reba hits Thunder Rosa over the back with a crutch, and she has a fight with her, but Britt Baker blindsides her, and they do a big finish on the stage, the Rico Constantino's old finish when he was in OVW. She dropped her, boom, 1-2 on a 2 count, a bump on the stage in the first 15 seconds. And then immediately Britt Baker's got a chair. And Britt Baker beats Thunder Rosa with a chair. And then Thunder Rosa wears Britt Baker out with a chair. At that point, this early in the match, I had to pause it and walk off on it, because I was going to watch the whole thing. I needed a minute. Then they go over the rail and they fight in the arena, and they do spots with chairs where they're leaping off the chairs or leaping onto the chairs. Britt Baker and Reba set up a table at ringside and leave it there. They leave it there for later. They set it up for no reason. They leave the fight they're in, go out, set up a piece of furniture, and do nothing with it. Leave it there for later.
Okay.
And then, as a matter of fact, Britt tossed 4 or 5 chairs in the ring while Thunder Rosa was laying around waiting and getting her juice over on the corner. But then she had to lay there and sell on the steps forever while they filled up the ring with all these chairs. I know somebody told them, hey, go out and make some distraction while the girl's getting juice, but Jesus Christ. So now we've got 4 chairs, 5 chairs in the ring. They've already used a crutch, and they've already fought in the arena. Now they go to the break. They come back. Britt Baker gives Thunder Rosa a superplex off the top rope onto the 5 chairs, 2 count. This is fucking ridiculous. Ludicrous. If guys did it, it would be equally as stupid. Then Reba pulls a ladder out from under the ring. Thunder Rosa kicks the ladder into Britt Baker's face, and she gets juice. after a while. In all the middle of all this stupid, Thunder Rosa has great babyface fire and wonderful facials and good body language. Then Thunder Rosa pulls out a table and sets it up and left it sit and goes back in the ring. It's every bad indie match that's ever been had. Then Thunder Rosa does the DVD Death Valley Driver off the top rope onto the ladder on Britt Baker 2 count. Then Britt Baker DDTs Thunder Rosa on a chair and then hit the ropes and curb stomped her face first on the chair, got a 2 count. And then Reba hands Britt Baker a bag in, and now they're Britt's.
Okay. So I have to pause this right now because what does Jim Cornette hate more than anything else in the world? Thumbtacks. He also hates it when women start using thumbtacks onto the ring. Now, I haven't seen this part. I haven't heard what he's going to say, but I could just imagine, right, what he's going to say when he starts announcing it. So let's review this together. Here we go.
Got great juice.
Okay.
Thunder Rosa's was a little limits. They're both bleeding, blah, blah, blah. Reba hands Britt Baker a bag, and Britt Baker pours 1,000,000 thumbtacks out of the bag.
Yeah.
And I'm out. I couldn't take any more, and I'm done. What happened from there?
I told you.
I didn't write down spot for spot what happened, but
Who won? Who cares?
Thunder Rosa won.
What'd she win with? A double-barreled shotgun or a fucking sledgehammer?
I love
I
this
agree.
guy.
Look, I was able to lose myself in
No,
the match. Even though there's a lot of shit I really hated, I hated the thumbtacks. And as soon as I saw that, I
Why
said,
do you hate thumbtacks?
Jim
Why?
is going to really hate this.
I know.
I was able to lose myself in the match and enjoy it. Especially with the spectacle of all the blood on Britt Baker.
Thank you,
because
Brian.
it kept coming. It was nonstop.
Thank you, Brian.
I agree with all the points you made about the stupidity of...
No, Brian.
Here's another point. The blood was the shocking part, right?
Yeah.
Women bleeding.
Yes.
Double juice girls match. When's the last time you saw that?
Hold on. I'm sorry. Double juice girls match. That's a giggity right there. There we go.
Free hat out of the hat store and put it on top of this hat of a match.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even understand why they had this match for this feud. How did we get to the level where they needed a lights out, no DQ match?
I mean, because they were fighting amongst each other from the very beginning, and then there was Britt Baker attacking her outside of the stadium and putting the lockjaw on her, and then having that entire match. I mean, this was kind of building for quite some time. So, yeah, obviously, we're going to have a blow-off match. I mean, what do you want, guys? Like 6 months of complete slow burn build till we get to this point or something? I mean, seriously. I mean, come on. What do you expect what's going to happen here?
How did we get here?
I'll tell you exactly, because Tony Khan or somebody gave him the idea, or they came up with the idea, we'll have a double juice girls match. And of course, since he's a mark and he's not in charge, and he doesn't know how to say no or when to say no, he let him do it.
I bet you it was his idea.
And it could be, and very well, then it's okay. I'm going to have a double juice girls match. It's like having a fucking stadium that needs a match rather than a match that needs a stadium. You've decided what you're going to do, and then you put 2 people in it that can do it. That doesn't mean that it makes any sense.
All right, so it makes sense for Vince McMahon, right, to have his son Shane McMahon throw slime on a big monster who should be a main eventer in Braun Strowman on an episode of Raw. That makes sense. But Tony Khan putting 2 women in a lights out match where they all both get bloody and they have to fight of their lives, that's stupid. That's dumb. That's the thing that, it doesn't make sense. All right? Tell me. It doesn't make sense. Tony Khan could be like Vince McMahon. The only difference between Tony Khan and Vince McMahon is that when Vince McMahon becomes irrational and the product comes out, most of the time it comes like a bleh. But when Tony Khan gets irrational, as you will claim he is, Mr. Cornette, and books matches like that, it's either or wow, that is crazy. All right, continue.
But the point is, why would anybody want to watch two men, let alone two women, roll around bloody in thumbtacks? It's fun.
Because it's awesome! My God! Jim! Are you dead out of touch? Oh, I guess I must be one of those deplorables, I guess. I guess I must be one of those hicks. Or whatever the hell you want to call us. Yeah. That. Yeah, that way. I mean, honestly, we liked it. Anyone who was loving this match loved it. Do you not listen to do you not read the Twitter? Do you not read Facebook and all those accounts? I know you're not a social media type of guy who just reads all these messages day by day. But it has been nothing but positive after positive after positive, and yet you sit here. You sit here and then you think you speak for the people? Maybe there's a good amount of people that is probably on your side, but people like me, we enjoyed this match. We enjoyed everything about this match. It was fun. It was entertaining. I was on the edge of my seat. It was shocking. And those two put on a clinic. And instead of you just criticizing about, oh, why are they in this match or whatever, why would you just stand up and applaud for them? Because I know you don't like indie wrestling, and I know they're not in your style of tea, but you got to respect the fact that these women actually went out there and did what they needed to do. Seriously. I love you, Jim. I love your history, but sometimes you can be out of touch to today's way of looking things. And you're looking at a guy who grew up watching Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena, CM Punk, Edge, Randy Orton, and God knows who else has showed up there today. And from WCW and New Japan on, which you never even touch. My God, Jim, you want to talk about the wrestling that goes on today? I dare you for once in your life, Jim Cornette, to sit down and watch a New Japan show and to review a New Japan show, a random G1 match, or anything involving, the New Japan Cup. I bet you would have been a fan of Jay White if you actually just sat down and watched some wrestling from other parts of the world instead of being so close-minded and just say, oh, this is not the style that we're supposed to be in right now. You're out of touch, sir. I respectfully say that you're quite out of touch.
Fucking stupid. Male or female, there's no sport or legitimacy or display of talent or anything else about the garbage matches. And all it does is make the business look bad.
Nope.
And make it look like a goddamn sideshow.
Nope.
And they could have really done something positive for the women and let them get over by giving them a main event match and letting them have a match and show what they have in the way of talent instead of hitting each other with blunt shit and being stuntmen doing tricks.
Oh, and how would you book it?
And you can still do a double juice women's match. That's another thing. That's why Dana White never wanted a women's match or a women's division in the UFC, because he didn't want the sponsors to see girls having a bloody fight until along came somebody who could draw him a ton of money on pay-per-view, and then he relented, but still they would never do something like this because they want mainstream acceptance. They want legitimacy. They want people to respect what they do. We used to also in this business somewhat. We wanted to make money first, but we wanted people to have a positive image of it instead of this goddamn circus, sideshow, sewage business.
Oh, God, you're terrible.
And
sir.
so, besides that, you could still do it. Start having a match. Start having an athletic, professional wrestling match between two women.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly Thunder Rosa gets kicked off or out of a move or misses a charge or whatever, and she hits the post. Head first, boom, and she goes down, and now she comes up bleeding. And it's accidental, allegedly. And Britt Baker can look and be shocked, but then she turns into the heel because now she starts working on the cut. She's not putting her through tables and suplexing her off the top rope. She's working on an injury and being a fucking vicious heel doing it.
I guess you want a Bret Hart version, I guess.
And let Thunder Rosa with those facials and that fire sell. And Britt Baker waltzes her across Texas. And then maybe finally she makes a mistake, and then Thunder Rosa starts the comeback, and now she's got the fire and the blood in her face. And now Britt Baker's backing up and backpedaling and begging off, and she's bumping Britt Baker everywhere. And finally Reba tries to do something with a chair, and goddamn, boom, Thunder Rosa pickles her, and the referee's shoveling Reba out of the fucking ring. And Thunder Rosa picks that chair up and looks at her, at Britt Baker, and says, "You bitch, you busted me open." One shot with a fucking chair, boom. And
Okay, so Jim Cornette says you should pickle her, and then she was supposed to tell her, "Yo, you bitch, you busted me right open." Okay. All right, continue.
down goes Britt Baker, and she comes up bloody. And now it's happening naturally. It looks like a contest. It's not a bunch of furniture stunts. It's not a bunch of garbage that people are cooperating with each other to hurt each other on purpose and roll around in sharp shit to appeal to the lowest common denominator of the audience. You've got a women's athletic contest that has gotten control has been lost in a controlled fashion, and these girls are bleeding. And now whichever one you want to go over, you put them over in a fucking finish. But you've had a 15 or 20 minute main event match. You've had your double juice, but it wasn't done egregiously or in poor taste. It looked like it happened organically and part of the fucking contest. And you haven't put a hat on a hat. And you also haven't killed every finish for every man in the company
really?
that couldn't sell anything after these girls bore up under all of this.
Nobody sells anything anyway.
But I'm just saying there's a difference between girls bleeding and what is presented as a contest where the blood is an unfortunate and or accidental byproduct of the overall thing, and two girls obviously doing cooperative stage shit, because you can't do this furniture bullshit and make it look real. Obviously doing cooperative fake shit, choreographed to go through furniture and hit each other with shit and bleed on purpose with no pretense of a contest, just doing fucking, wrestling porn for the weakest minded individuals out there that like that kind of death match.
Okay, now you're just rambling on and on. Yeah, porn, death match, porn. Come on, man. Come on. Please, stick with us. Stick with us, please. I mean, we're not here because we're into death match porn or anything like that. All right? We appreciate what these women do, and we're just there for the ride. And whatever they want to do, we're going to be up there for it. Seriously, Is anyone really upset that these women actually went through tables, chairs, barbed wire, all that stuff? Did anyone actually watch this match and said, "God, I wish I never done that. I wish I never went through hell like that. It was stupid. They should have never done that"? Or were you people like me was like, "I cannot believe they did that. That was so awesome. That was amazing. That was crazy. Give these guys a round of applause." Really? I mean, come on, man. I mean, how far out of touch are you? Seriously. And how far out of touch are people like you? Seriously. This is a great match. And I don't care what anyone else says. If this match was on NXT, people would be calling it the best match of all time. Or maybe not. Because, I don't know any of the women in NXT can actually sell better than these two can. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, they know how to tell a story through violence. I don't know if I could say the same thing about the rest of the women in NXT, but you know what? I could be wrong here. But that's why I have you guys to let me know in the comments what you guys think. But anyway, we're almost done here. Let's see what else he has to say.
Bullshit.
Oh, bullshit.
That's what I'm not upset that I'm upset that it's men or women doing these matches. And it's especially stupid to have the women doing it. And it's especially stupid when the other fucking company has highly trained women that look like stars and work like stars and perform like stars, and they give them that opportunity. And this fucking company gets a chance to answer that, and they have a garbage, independent, outlaw death match between two girls where they're obviously aiding each other in all of this, and it's just a freak show.
But yet, who's talking about, in terms of women's wrestling, between what's happening in NXT and what's happening in AEW, what's trending more? Not anything involving Zayla Ali or Zayla Zai, whatever the heck her name is. But Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, that's what's trending. That's what people are talking about. That's the match of the night. That's the match that owned Wednesday. Look at the demographic. What was the highest rated segment on Wednesday? And I know most of you are probably talking about, oh, why can't we just watch both? Because we can't watch both. We are biologically inclined to be involved in some type of gang mentality. That's what makes us human. Right? You want to watch both? You want to enjoy both? Move NXT to Tuesday nights. Move AEW to Thursday nights. But don't have them on the same night in the same time slot. And just expect that people should just appreciate both. Because for every one person who says, I appreciate both shows and I like them, there are a ton of people who will tell you that you're wrong, sir, or you're right, sir, and vice versa. That's just how it is. You don't like their opinion? You can move on to somewhere else. Easy. Their opinion is their own. Just like it's my opinion to tell you that your opinion doesn't matter, or your opinion sucks, or your opinion is good, or I like your opinion, or I may steal your opinion. It depends on the subject. It depends on the situation. See, that's what's missing there. So for Jim Cornette to say, oh, yeah, you know, this is garbage wrestling, people shouldn't be liking this. Well, guess what? Are you angry that in this day and age, garbage wrestling, as you like to call it, is popular amongst the fans, and you being an influencer, Mr. Cornette, you want to bring that down? You have the power to actually give credit and make people enjoy wrestling as it is right now if you just get along with the program, but you refuse to. And you know what? Listen, I applaud you having your own opinion on things. That is good. I respect that. And we live in the United States of America, where it's our God-given right to have an opinion, whatever we want, about anything. And we should not have any persecution. We should have no backlash, no violent beatdown, nothing. Just so, like I have a freedom to share my opinion about your opinion. And I think your opinion sucks. But that's my opinion. And maybe other people don't like my opinion, but there's going to be other people who actually do. And I respectfully expect that at some point, if you happen to fall onto this YouTube and you see this, I don't want you to Stephen P. New me, because I'm doing this for the community of the people. And I'm doing this because, quite frankly, I'm a wrestling fan, and I just like to give out my opinion. And if you were to somehow come into my YouTube and say I can no longer do this, then I'm absolutely right about what I'm saying. That my opinions doesn't matter compared to your opinion. And if you have the power to silence me, that's exactly what's going to happen. So remember this when you see my YouTube, and then you understand what happens afterwards, folks. Because I'm bringing it up because I love the community. I love the people. And I would like to speak my mind without any repercussions, as long as I'm not physically, mentally, or hurting anyone or any human being out there. But if you're going to get salty about what I have to say, that's a reflection on you, sir. Not a reflection on me or the people who are like me. Anyway, continue.
This to me was almost as distasteful as when they brought that fucking Judas Messias, a Mexican guy from AAA, wherever he was working, into TNA, and he came through the ring and attacked Abyss, broke a bottle, and was taking the broken glass and ripping it down Abyss's arm, and Abyss was blading his arm because Abyss is a wonderful guy and I like him, but he's a goddamn complete idiot with that fucking hardcore bullshit.
Oh, shut up.
Thumbtacks and blading your arm and shit. And all I could sit there and do it, watching the monitor, all I could think was, Spike is going to see this and kick us off the air.
Aww.
Because everybody watching this knows that this is phony. But they also know that the cuts are real, which means they know he's cutting himself. Which means, what the fuck? Why would you...
All right. Spike is going to kick us off the air. Was this the same Spike TV that used to be called the Nashville Network? TNN? And what do they had in TNN? They had ECW. What did they have before that? Part of the Attitude Era involving Raw. So, I think they're kind of used to this type of brutality already. Don't you think, Jim?
Did you ever watch that show again where the guy is obviously slicing his arm up instead of being ripped up with broken glass because they're so goddamn stupid they can't figure out a way to get personalities over and have wrestling matches draw money with them? And it's the same kind of shit. And I'm about fed up with it. That's what I thought about that match.
He's fed up. They
lost their chance to be taken seriously as professional athletes.
I know.
And now we know that Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are just as good as having garbage matches that require no talent as all the guys are.
Oh,
that's what they accomplished there.
I thought they were better.
Changed my mind.
I enjoyed this match as a garbage match better than the last few we've seen from other people on the roster.
Well, okay, that's true. They did a better job of having a garbage match in bad taste than anybody else in the company.
I hate thumbtacks.
Oh.
I hate when they turn the lights out. I hate the handcuffs. Each week I get to talk about things I hate that we see way too often. The bag of thumbtacks.
I'll watch the handcuffs, but thumbtacks, I don't care who does it. Jerry Lawler pulls out, well, like Jerry Lawler would have ever pulled out thumbtacks in his match. But if Jerry Lawler pulls out thumbtacks in his match, I'm done.
Lawler would have used push pins. But no, I was able to lose myself in the match and enjoy it. Other than the thumbtacks, that was the one spot that I groaned. Stop. I was just like, "Oh, this is so unnecessary."
What kind of human being are we? Are we a soft species? Is that what's going on here? Are we have devolved into soft human beings? We grown at this sort of thing? Anything involving Mick Foley, right? We grown at this? Do we feel bad about this? And now this is like, this is horrible? This is bad? Really? I don't know what happened to us as a species, as human beings. But somewhere along the way, we got very soft. We got very sensitive. We got very soft and sensitive about every single little thing. We used to be fighters, warriors, visionaries, revolutionaries. Now we're just weak. We're just weak. And I'm not saying to the people in the audience, I'm not saying to the people who are actually watching me right now that you're weak. You know who you are, right? You know your personality. You just have to remember something. Where you were 10 years ago, were you the same 10 years now? Or somewhere along the way, you just felt different? You need to explore that. I think everybody needs to explore themselves as to how do we get from what we were 20 years ago to what we are now. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you ask me, I've always been the same type of person from the past until now. I speak my mind and I say what I feel that's in my heart. It may not be the right things at times, but you know what? That's what makes me a human being. But it seems like nowadays, just the thought of women getting thrown onto thumbtacks, that's horrible? Really? So you're trying to say they're not capable of doing that? They shouldn't be doing that? Women getting punched in the face in the UFC, that's horrible? That's disgusting? They're not supposed to be capable of doing that? Really? Come on, man. I have accepted the fact that, listen, if you want to inflict violence upon each other, it doesn't matter what gender you are. As long as I enjoy it, do it. Do it. You will get applauded and you'll get rewarded the same way as the men do. There should be no reason why you should be treated less. So the philosophy would say that you should be treated in a lesser light than men do. If you want to go to war, go to war. Be warriors. Screw the gender. Be warriors. Be fighters. Be visionaries. Be revolutionaries. Be creators. That's what we're talking about here, right, folks? That's why we're here on this earth. To figure out what can we do to make our mark on this planet. As individuals. Screw what anyone else tells you. You do whatever makes you feel in your heart is the right thing to do that benefits this world as long it doesn't physically, mentally, or spiritually hurt another person or being. Unless it's in a case like this. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a drunk. I don't know. But there's apparently one person out there who can actually agree with what I'm trying to say. Just so there's going to be a ton of people who probably disagree to what I say. But at least it's being said. At least it's being said. And that's all you can hope for in this world at this point right now, right? Someone saying something. All right. Bring it on home, Jim.
I've had a thumbtack go into my knee.
Oh!
It wasn't that big a deal.
Okay.
So don't show me like, my God.
I have a thumbtack stuck into my knee. So it wasn't a big of a deal. You had one thumbtack stuck in your knee. Meanwhile, Britt Baker had over 50 stuck into her shoulder. And a couple onto her back. Maybe one at her neck. And you want to talk about, I got one stuck in the knee. It's not a big of a deal. What a paito. Really, dude? Really? Really? So now You just want to suspend disbelief right now. Now you're trying to say, oh, thumbtacks don't really hurt anybody. Is that what you're trying to say, Brian Last? That thumbtacks don't hurt anybody? Huh? Wow. Any wrestlers out there, professional wrestlers, indie wrestlers, who happen to, drop by and see my show, right? Let me know in the comments. I need to know. No, I honestly need to know. I like to be educated from the people who actually perform and do this shit, right? Do thumbtacks hurt? If someone body slams you onto a pile of thumbtacks and all you have is nothing but a pair of jeans and a belt, will you or will you not feel pain during and after the match? Let me know.
Oh my God, how will they ever deal with it?
And of course, 45 of them in your back aren't any fun, but that's what makes anybody watching that say, well, these are just stupid people. Just very stupid people. Because falling in thumbtacks or throwing someone in thumbtacks is not going to win you the match. It's not going to beat anybody. It's just stupid freak show bullshit from these basement-dwelling nerds. Have you seen now stepping on Legos is a thing they're doing in death matches on the Outlaws? Because everybody knows how painful it is to step on a Lego.
I guess anything involving Undertaker and Mankind and the Hell in a Cell and, King of the Ring. I guess when Mankind just got thrown to the thumbtacks, he didn't feel it at all. As a matter of fact, he probably did not feel anything at all with the thumbtacks because everything else that he felt prior to that was more painful than that. It was so painful that it kind of canceled it out in a way, right? Well, I don't think that after the fact it was equally painful. Well, whatever.
It's become wrestling for bloodthirsty, low-class, unsavory children under the age of 14, whether physically or mentally.
For the record, I'm 38 years young, actually. I don't think I'm acting like a 14-year-old. I think I can speak some coherent sentences. I mean, I know how to set up a YouTube channel just like anyone else does. I consider myself to be highly educated, I have a certificate, for CCNA, right? So I work well with computers, even though this is maybe the most half-assed thing I've ever done so far. But listen, this is my first time doing it. But to consider myself to be like a 14-year-old prepubescent boy, nah. No. You're dealing with a grown-ass man, all right? So respect the grown-ass people in the audience. Jim, thank you.
It's what we've come to here.
And like you kind of said earlier, I thought, despite what the match was, and I didn't mind it as much as you did, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa did a great job.
Thank you.
Yes, I can't fault their effort or their execution. I can only fault them ever being allowed to do this in the first place.
I think a lot of this is bad booking. Like I said, they've had a feud. They're attacking each other. They're, pouring water on her face paint, whatever's going on. It seems like it went to a lights out, no DQ match pretty quickly.
Well, that escalated quickly. But you know what? And here's the thing. Maybe did you see they also, I'll say this, we're going to stop talking about this fucking television program. But they released backstage footage of everybody being led by Tony Khan himself coming up and applauding the girls when they came back and telling them what a great job they did in their performance. Because it's all fake. They're applauding the effort that the girls put in and having that fake match. Because if that was a real fight, would you be applauding or would you be calling an ambulance for these girls?
I would be applauding. And then maybe call an ambulance if they actually needed to. Listen, didn't WWE do a documentary called The Day of Royal Rumble, The Day of WrestleMania, The Day of everything, those documentaries? And they going through the same thing, and were they not applauding? What about all the episodes of The Last Ride featuring The Undertaker and seeing all the people just clapping after The Undertaker had his match? Come on, Jim. Seriously? Seriously, you're going to be nitpicking at that? You're going to be nitpicking at that little moment? Seriously? Come on, man. That's stupid. That's absolutely stupid. Come on. You have better sense than that. You don't show any respect for these women. You pretend that you show respect for what they do. But in all reality, I know you don't really care. I know you don't really care. Come on. That's just digging to the bottom of the barrel here, man. Seriously. You cannot... Don't be a hypocrite, Jim. Don't be a hypocrite. I know you never really talk about any of the documentaries that the WWE Network has actually put it out. I would like for you to critique on most of them. I would like for you to critique on the day of the Royal Rumble where Batista was there. Just to see how everything was going on with that. Because you know what? They didn't suspend belief either. They made it as fake and as hokey as whatever the case may be. What about the day of the Royal Rumble where they talk about the performance of Bad Bunny and Booker T, right? You never talk about that, but apparently you take the time to become nitpicky of just simple backstage footage. Those women deserve to be clapped. They're not dead. They walked on their own power. They know where the doctor's office is. They don't need to be put on a stretcher. They don't need to be put on an ambulance. Seriously. Come on, man. You're better than this. You're very respected. You're better than this. You're much better than this.
And concerned about their health. But no, they applaud them. They tell them how great they all did. Then they take them to the back, and there's the footage of Britt Baker while being attended to by the doctor, asking if they think Meltzer will give this 5 stars because that's what she was going for. And folks, that's what's wrong with wrestling today too.
No. And he didn't.
And he didn't? Well, God damn it. Talk about a kick in the fucking... Boy, he just fucking...
I get why they bleeped that out when he was saying so many F-bombs throughout the whole entire segment. If you can't see what he's talking about, then I don't know what else I can say to you.
He didn't even give them 5 stars after they went through all that. He gives everybody else all this shit.
I believe, I don't have the Observer in front of me.
Their match was better than anything Twinkle Toes does. He didn't give that 5 stars. God.
I believe it got 4 and maybe either 4.5 or 4 3/4.
Wow, just because she asked for it, probably. That's why he couldn't give it to her. Well, the whole thing. Remember, was that a question on the drive-through last week? Did the wrestlers of the 80s ever wonder whether they were going to get 5 stars or not? And I fucking blew snot laughing. Said they wouldn't know if afterwards, if they got 5 stars, they wouldn't be aware of it. Wrestling for children, by children, to get the praise that they somehow don't get in their empty lives.
Do you want the ratings?
Sure.
NXT, 597. AEW
745.
768.
No, I was off by 23. So in other words, nothing's changed.
No growth.
They can have the second coming of Carl Gotch and George Hackenschmidt or 2 drunks in an alley fighting, and it'll be the same basic numbers from week to week on either program.
All right, and that was the end of that. Now, if you want to see the rest of the videos around here, you may. However, I gotta say that you can't really click on them. I kind of had to pause it right there. So, what are my final thoughts throughout all of this? It's his opinion. Just like it's Dave Meltzer's opinion. I haven't really seen his analysis about anything, really, because, I gotta admit, you know what? Jim Cornette, he will say things at times that can be very out of touch, offensive. You may want to punch him in the face or want to cheer for him. But he could be very funny, and he has that charisma, and, you can't help but listen to what he says. It's just now, I feel that, in my opinion, I have to bring an alternative to this entire discussion, right? I felt that Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa was the best women's match in AEW. I don't know why Metzel gave it 4.5 stars, nor do I care. His opinion is his opinion. I'm not going to give a star rating on it because I don't know how to critique mine on terms of star ratings, and I think it's absolutely stupid. It's stupid. I enjoyed it. I had fun. It was an enjoyable match. They got bloody. It was shocking. There were some holy-ish moments. Right? And at the end of the day, isn't that really what it's all about? Entertaining the fans out there. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who dislike AEW, but they're going to enjoy this match. And if they don't enjoy this match, it's because they have some type of brand loyalty to the opposition. But I'm not speaking about those who are into that opposition, am I? I'm just speaking to those. Well, I'm speaking to everybody. What am I saying? I'm not singling anybody out, and I will never will. Your opinions and reactions is what makes it all beautiful. So, this is the first of its kind, maybe the second of its kind. If you like what you see, and if you like what you heard today, let me know in the comments what you think. Whether you hate it or you love it, I don't care. I love feedback. If you want me to do more of it, hit that like button. Let me know what you want to critique about, because we can do more than just wrestling. If you tell me, oh, watch this movie, watch a Justice League movie, tell me what you think, I will definitely do that. If you tell me, oh, watch this particular show, tell me what you think about that. Or a segment involving sports. Hell, I may even do a review show involving the New York Giants acquisition in a little bit. Right? So, whatever you feel that I should really critique on, if you actually like it, let me know. And I'll do my very best to provide that for you guys. So, for right now, this is GUNHILLBAIN in the building. And I wish you all a very fantastic night. Until next time. Peace.